All right, okay. Good morning, guys. Can you let me know if you all can hear me and see a screen? Yes, can see a screen. Yeah, right. Perfect. So what we'll do today, guys, first of all, very sorry for the small delay. We'll start off with the 2017 paper. Okay. This is the 2017 A-level paper, and then we should be able to finish off. Okay, this is 2017 A-level, and then let's finish off the unit 9 and 10, and meaning we only have unit 11 and 12, so we'll only do the MCQs of that, and then we are probably done. Okay, so I'm not going to waste any more time. We'll be directly get into this. These questions are pretty much easy as well, right? So there is nothing big to worry about. Okay, so we'll start with question number 8 of the 2017 A-level paper. Okay, so they have given us the following diagram shows production possibility curves for country A and country B, producing mobile phones and bicycles. So what is the opportunity cost of producing a bicycle? Which country has the comparative advantage? And they're asking you for mutually beneficial trade to occur, right? What should be the exchange rate? Is when you all get a question like this, right? Now you all know how to find opportunity cost to everything when they give you these numbers on a table, right? When they give you the same exact numbers, when they give it to you on a table, right? Then you all know how to find this. Easy calculation, right? So if they say, let's say this is mobile phones, this is bicycles, country A, right? Country B. When they do this and when they give you the numbers, okay, doing that is very easy. So sometimes when they give it to you on a PPC, some of you all are a little lost. I have noticed that. So what you all can do, guys, right? If you think you can't calculate using a PPC, okay, convert these values of a PPC into a table, right? So put the numbers here, guys. Now, country A, how much of mobile phones can they make? 1,200 is output data, right? So 1,200 mobile phones, right? So if you look at bicycles, they can produce 400. If they don't produce any mobile phones, then they can produce 400 bicycles. You look at country B, they can produce 600 and 600. So once you all have done this, right, then you all know this is a normal calculation that you'll always get, right? Every single year in an MCQ, you get a question like this. We discussed all of that, right? So then how do you find opportunity cost? Foregone divided by gain is can you give me answers for opportunity cost of these things? Let's say country A for a mobile phone, to gain 1,200 mobile phones, they have to give up 400 bicycles. So it's 400 divided by 1,200, you get 0.33. Then country A for a bicycle, it's the opposite. How much is that? 1,200 divided by 400, that's a 3. Okay. Then if you move into country B, let me make it smaller. Move into country B. So there it's 600 divided by 600, right? In both the cases. So for a mobile phone also, their opportunity cost is gained, foregone over gained. You also same story. So 600 over 600, you get 1. Okay. So in all of these cases, country A and country B, guys, these are the opportunity costs. So that is part A. Then if you look at part B, which country has a comparative advantage in mobile phones? So if you take mobile phones, country A's opportunity cost is 0.33, country B's opportunity cost is 1, right? So who has the low opportunity cost? It's country A. Country A, to produce a mobile phone, they have to give up only 0.33 units of a bicycle. And then if you look at bicycles, obviously it has to be the other country, guys. So bicycles, it's country B, right? So that is also done. So then they're asking you for mutually beneficial trade to occur, what should be the exchange rate? Yes, how do you find the exchange rate? Find out which country is specializing in that good. So if you take a mobile phone, right, country A is specializing. So in country A, for a mobile phone, they are getting 0.33. 0.33 means 0.33 bicycles, right? They're getting 0.33 bicycles. So the opportunity they will expect, right? If they are to sell it abroad, they will expect more than 0.33. Country B is already paying one bicycle for a mobile phone. So country B will expect to pay less than one. So for a bicycle, right, your exchange rate would be, okay, I'll put this in the middle. Okay, so if you take a bicycle, guys, the exchange rate would be less than, sorry, for a mobile phone, the exchange rate would be less than one bicycle. Okay, because and more than, right? So I'll add this here. How much? 0.33 bicycle. Okay. So that will be, guys, I'm hoping you all are okay. I'm going faster because we have done these calculations over and over again, right? So for one mobile phone, this will be the exchange rate. So how do you find the exchange rate, guys? It's the difference of the opportunity cost between the two countries, right? So country A is the one exporting mobile phones. So for them, they are already getting 0.33. So they will expect more than 0.33. And country B, who is the one buying the mobile phone, in their country, they are already paying one. So if they are to buy from abroad, they will expect it at a price less than one. So similarly, guys, if you take what? Bicycles, right? So country A is already paying 3 mobile phones for a bicycle. Country B is paying 1. So country B will expect more than 1 mobile phone per bicycle. Okay, and less than 3 mobile phone. So I'm guessing there are different ways you can do the same question. We would have done so much of this during MCQs. That is why I'm not going to go into detail and explain every single logic behind this. I'm not doing that. Okay, hoping you all are okay there. Okay? So if you get a question like this, trust me, this is the easiest 6 marks that you can ever get, right? Simple calculations to get that. Okay, so that is done. Okay, then you go into the second question. Now you get some theory, guys, right? So you get some theory on the recent trends usually, right? Now this is what I explained last class, if you'll remember. Maybe they can give you all a question on, what has happened to imports and exports due to COVID-19, right? What has happened to the foreign reserves due to COVID-19? Okay, what are the measures the government has taken to solve these foreign reserves, like banning the imports of vehicles, right? Different things. Okay, so just remember, you all can get questions on those areas. So then if you go to question number 2, the performance of Sri Lankan export sector has been lagging in comparison to its regional counterparts over the last 2 decades, right? Give reasons for the poor performance of the export sector of Sri Lanka. Guys, why do you think Sri Lanka's exports are not performing that well? What kind of reasons can we give? Reasons? Give me a few reasons for Sri Lanka's export sector not doing that great. Okay, low quality. Okay, cost of production is too high because of right, because we are using mainly what, right, labor intensive for things like let's say our clothing, our tea, right? That can be a problem. No diversification. Yes, lack of diversification in our export market, and also in our exporting products, right? When we are exporting, guys, our main market is USA, right? So and then we have a few more European Union and few more other countries. But how many countries are there in the world, right? We are only focused on a small area in the world. So we have a lack of diversification in the export market, and also we have a lack of diversification in our exporting products, right? What are we mainly exporting? We are mainly exporting garments, tea, and rubber, things like that. Okay, so those are problems. Then, okay, yes, then you can talk about natural disasters, natural things that cause maybe a reduction in tea exports and all of it. Then, okay, yes, you can say political instabilities, lack of investment in the export industry, right? So you all can give in things like that. Okay, rapid price fluctuation, good enough, right? So guys, now those kind of things, right? Now for questions like this, okay, something that I would recommend is, okay, instability in the world market, can write, okay. So what you all can write, guys, for questions like these, right? Have a set answer, right? Because these kind of questions are already being asked, and they always ask as well. I'm telling you guys, there can be a question, right, on this export sector, right? What has happened to our exports in the recent years, right? With COVID-19 and all, what has happened? So like I always told you all, go through the central bank report, guys. See what has happened to our exports. See which ones have fallen, which ones have increased, what has happened to our imports, right? Why has it fallen? Why has it increased? Guys, all of those reasons are there in the central bank report, right? It's a matter of opening the central bank report on your laptop or phone or something and going through, reading, find those reasons, guys, right? So trust me, tell you 100% sure there will be a question like this in your paper, right? Either what has happened to your exports, what has happened to the foreign reserves, how has COVID-19 impacted the imports or exports, right? What has the government taken as measures to solve the foreign reserves, right? So there will definitely be a question, right? Unless they make the paper very easy. Otherwise, for sure, there is a question. Okay, so go prepare. Done. Then if you look at question 3, explain how a significant rise in general price level will affect the current account of the balance of payment. Guys, now these days, if you realize, okay, there is huge amounts of inflation, right? When it comes to food and all, you'll realize that food is all very expensive. Vegetables to, everything. No, not living in this world. Yeah, realize, okay, so food to everything is very expensive. There was this thing that says Sri Lanka is the country with the highest level of food inflation, right, in Asia these days. Okay, so is now, I don't know, I saw now somewhere there was around 250 grams of vegetables selling at around 160 200 rupees, right? Earlier 1 kilo was around 160 200. So then how does this increase in price level, okay, affect this, guys? Affect the current account. North Korea is also high. I'm not very sure, but I know countries like Venezuela and stuff, they're high, right? Because how does a significant rise in price level affect the current account? Guys, I'm not going to explain the whole story, right? I'll just give you the brief idea about it. You can expand and you can write. So what happens, guys? Okay, when prices increase, right? When the price levels increase, what happens to your prices of exports? Prices of exports, whatever you're exporting also increases, right? Whatever you're exporting is now more higher. So when your price of exports are high, what happens to your demand for exports? Demand for exports decrease, right? Or in other words, you can say your export competitiveness, right? Export competitiveness falls because why? Your country is more expensive, right? So competitiveness falls. So as a result, what happens, guys? As a result, right? As a result, what happens? Your exports fall, right? Your export earnings fall. So this causes, right? Sorry, right? So export competitiveness falling, right? Because it's very expensive. As a result, your export earnings fall. Okay, this is given that Marshall Learn and all of it holds, right? Given that your exports are elastic. Okay, so same story with your imports, guys, right? Now I'm not going to type what is happening to imports. I'll just explain what happens to imports. Now, when your prices are increasing, Okay, where would you prefer to buy from? From your country or from abroad? In your country, prices are increasing now. What will you do? You tend to buy from abroad, right? Because why? It's expensive in your country. Why will you buy from your country? So because your price levels are increasing, right? The demand for cheaper imports will also increase, right? So demand for cheaper imports increasing, right? Given that imports are elastic, import earnings will also increase. Then can you tell me, right now, we'll go one step ahead and tell me, right? Then what happens to the current account, guys? Your exports are increasing, sorry, exports are decreasing, right? Imports are increasing. So this leads to a unfavorable situation. So if there is a trade deficit, the trade deficit worsens. If there is a surplus, the surplus will get, will reduce. So you can say, so how will it affect? So you can say there is an unfavorable effect on the current account. So you can say if it for a country like Sri Lanka, who already has a trade deficit, an increase in general price level will worsen the trade deficit, right? Okay, we'll go one step ahead, and can you tell me what happens to the exchange rate because of this? Right? Yes, trade deficit worsens. What happens to your exchange rate now? You're exporting less, you're importing more. Exchange rate appreciates or depreciates? What happens to your exchange rate? Your exchange rate depreciates, right? When you're exporting less, what happens? The amount of rupees coming into the country is less. So the rupee demand falls. You're importing more in the sense you're supplying a lot of rupees, right? So if you simply take, okay, let's say the indirect quotation, okay, we'll take in terms of US dollars, direct quotation, demand and supply. So you're exporting less, meaning the demand, okay, let's say the exchange rate was, let's say 200, right? One US dollar was 200. So you're exporting less in the sense what happens? The demand for your, okay, so these US dollars, okay, you're exporting less. So that means USA is not paying us much, right? So the the demand for US dollars increases because we import more, okay? And what happens, the supply of US dollars, that also decreases, right? Because they are not buying from us. So as a result, this would go to, let's say, a 220, guys, right? So I didn't explain the whole story here, right? But I'm hoping you all can connect to that, right? Because those are the things that you all have to learn, because they will not, give the same exact question, right? They might add a part to this and they might say, okay, what happens to the exchange rate? Explain that story. Okay, but these are all questions that we have done previously as well, right? So there is no rocket science in the question. Okay, done. Then moving to the next one. Explain the meaning of external stability, and they've given you 2 marks. Guys, what do you think external stability means? What is external stability? It's a very simple concept. External stability is what? Hmm? Demand increases. Demand. No, here, guys. This one is the. Here, this is the demand and supply of the US dollar. Okay, not the LKR. Okay, I spoke of the direct quotation here. So let's say when you are exporting less means USA has to pay us less, right? So the supply of the US dollar will fall, right? Because USA is not spending much of money; they're only spending little money. Supply falls, and then we are paying a lot to USA now because we are importing a lot. So the demand for US dollar increases. This is the demand and supply for US dollar, okay? Not for the Sri Lankan rupee. Okay, so what is external stability, guys? Once again, can you give me an answer? External stability? Yes, external stability in very simple terms is where it's your exchange rate and your balance of payment, guys. So external stability is where, right, the exchange rate and the balance of payment of a country, right? So exchange rate is being stable and the balance of payment is in a way balanced, right? You don't have huge deficits or surpluses. That is what external stability means. So a stable exchange rate and a balanced balance of payment. Simple thing. You can write it in your own words. And then question number 5. Now, this was a question, guys, in 2017, which my teacher told me this is the year that I wrote A levels. That will for sure come. But I did not go through this. I don't know how stupid I was, but I did not go through, right? So I did not write this question, the GSP thing, because that was something that happened that year, right? So now I'm telling you this year things that happened, right? COVID-19 and how it has impacted international trade, foreign reserves, right? Please go through. Okay. So question 5, briefly the potential benefits of regaining GSP plus duty concession for Sri Lankan exports European Union. Yes, what is GSP plus? This is in very simple terms, guys. It's where when Sri Lanka exports to the European Union, right? You know the European Union. When we export to the European Union, we don't have to pay duty, guys, right? The import, now whatever that we export, right, is not taxed. So therefore, our exports are cheap. Okay, so anyone from the European Union buying something from Sri Lanka, right? The goods, Sri Lankan goods are cheap. Why the Sri Lankan goods are, they're not being taxed. Or other words, they're taxed less, maybe sometimes. There is a duty concession. So what can you say about this, guys? What are the potential benefits for Sri Lanka of regaining this? Can you let me know? Think a country is giving like, tax benefits to all of this. What can we say? Hmm? What and what? Think and give me an answer, or at least what does the textbook say? Let me find my charger. Hold on. Okay. Right. So you'll have given again. So your answers are good. Yes, can easily enter the international market. Right. Correct. More customers are attracted. Fine. So your demand for your exports increase. You can say that. Yes, tax concessions. Fine. Exports will increase. Export earning increase. Yes. It can lead to yes a trade deficit decreasing, not trade deficit increasing, guys. You can say that Sri Lanka's trade deficit can decrease as our exports are increasing. Yes, you can say, the European Union, guys, if you get the European Union, it's a huge market, right? How many countries do we have? We have so much of countries, right? There is how many countries now in the EU? Okay, special incentive arrangement for government and good governance slashes this some tariffs 0%. Okay, I'll copy and put this. What is GSP plus? Okay, good. So based on one of your things you all have put on it, I put on this thing. So this is what GSP plus is, right? So you all can get a screenshot or make it smaller. Okay, so this is what GSP plus is, right? It's a special incentive arrangement for a country like Sri Lanka. What they have done is they have decreased the tariff rate, right? So exports will increase because of less price in the European Union. Yes, right? So simple thing, guys, right? Now you don't even have to know in very detail about all of this, right? You can practically think, right? European Union is giving us a tax concession on our exports. So what will happen? We can sell more exports. We have access to a huge European Union market. Our trade deficit will decrease, maybe because of that, because our exports are increasing. You can say, can favorably impact our exchange rate, right? So you can give in things like those, right? So that is the story. Okay, how many countries in the EU? There's 27 now, right? That was 28. UK left, Brexit, and now there is 27. So Brexit was not questioned, it could have been a question in the 2020 paper, but they did not question how is Britain's exit from the EU going to affect Sri Lanka. I thought that would be a question, but it did not come. I don't think that will come this year, but can't say. But maybe have a look and keep. I taught that for the last year class in detail. What is Brexit? What happened because of Brexit? How is Sri Lanka impacted for Brexit? Right, but it did not come last year. Right, Brexit happened on January 2020. I think the 30th or the 29th of January, if I'm not mistaken, or 31st, one of those 3 days. Right. So, and what happened and all of that. Okay. So that is that story, right? Yes, these questions are easy, right? These are not difficult questions. I'm hoping you all are fine. Are we good? Yes, no, shape. Yeah, nice. Right. So then we go into the 2018 paper. Okay. Hold on, give me a second. I have not put that on my board. Okay. The 2018 paper. Okay, so this is the 2018 paper. Okay. So in the 2018 paper, guys, this was an interesting question. The first one, right? In the first one, they have given us labor data, right? They have given us input data. So they said, let country A's endowment of labor equals 200 units and country B's endowment of labor equals 200 units. That means both the countries A and B have 200 units of labor. And then they are telling you the labor requirement for the production of one good. So in country A, to produce one good of X, you need 5 labor units. Country B, one good of X, they need 4 labor units. So based on that, guys, they asked us to prepare the PPC. What most of the students did is they simply took these numbers, right? They took these numbers 5, 4, 4, and 8 and prepared the PPC. If you do that, guys, that's completely wrong. Because why? When you're drawing a PPC, guys, PPC is showing what? PPC is showing you the output, right? PPC shows you the different combinations of goods you can produce, not the input you need for those goods. No. So you have to convert this input data into output data. That is the first thing that you have to do, guys, if you're drawing the PPC. So think, country A has 200 people, right? 200 labor units. To produce one good of X, they need 5. So if they use all the 200 to produce good X, how much of goods can they produce, guys? What do you think? Let's break it down that way. Think. I sure it's 1,000. It's not 1,000. So you have country A. Okay, I'll repeat my question. Country B, right? You have good X. You have good Y. Okay. To produce one unit, right, of good X in country A, you need 5 labor units, right? So my question to you is, with 200 labor units, if you use all your 200 labor units, right, how much of goods can you produce? How do you find it? Simply 200, so this I'll say L, 200 divided by 5, right? You can produce 48. It's not 1,000. It's not a multiplication, it's a division. Yeah. To produce one unit, if you need 5, right? So from 200 labor units, how much you can produce? You can produce 40 units. So country A, if they use all their labor units to produce good X, they can produce 40 units of good X. Now this is output data. Same way, think for good Y. To produce 1 unit of good Y, they need 4 people. If they use all the 200 people to produce good Y, then how much of good Y can they produce? 50, right? So now that is again output data. Okay, you go to country B. One person can produce 4. They also have 200 units now. If they use all 200, again 50. Then look at good Y. One person, sorry, to produce one good, you need 8 people. So 200 people together, 200 divided by 8, you can produce a 25. Okay, now these are the numbers that you need to put on your PPC. So when you're drawing your PPC, guys, right? So if you say country A, 40 and 50, right? So this has to be, let's say 40, right? This has to be a 50. Then if you say country B, 50 and 25, so something like this, like that. Okay, so 50 and 25. So you have draw it properly. Okay, I'm just showing you how do you convert into output and how do you make it. So go through this. This was the first time that they questioned a thing like this, right? Gave labor and asked you to draw PPC. After they did not ask, they can ask in your year. Okay. Right. Guys, based on this, can we handle this? Can I skip comparative advantage, absolute advantage? Are we okay by now? I'm fed up of doing this question. Yes, shall we skip this? Can you all, is everyone okay? Yeah. You all can find, guys, based on these numbers, input data or output data, who has the absolute advantage, who has the comparative advantage, right? So I'm skipping that. I'm guessing by now you all can figure that out. Done. So then we'll go into part 2. State any 2 sources of comparative advantage. One of the easiest questions, guys. Sources of comparative advantage. Now we looked at so much of this, right? In the previous papers also it was there, right? Reasons why a country has comparative advantage. What are the reasons, guys? Differences in your factor endowment, right? Differences in your quality of your products, right? You know, what else, right? You can even talk about government policies, right? So there was so much, right? Yes, economies of scale. So in whatever tube that you have, right? There is so much that is okay. A doubt on constructing CPC. Maybe after this, I'll show you how you work with the CPC. Okay, maybe stay after class. Yes, technological differences you can put it. Done. So then, okay, this is another easy one. Name the main components of the current account of the balance of payment. So what do you have, guys? You have the goods account, you have the service account, right? So goods and service account together, you call it the goods and services, or the goods account, you can call it the trade account also. Okay. And then you have the primary income account, and then you have the secondary income account. So simply, what are they asking you, guys? They're simply asking you to name the parts, right? So come on, so four parts, 2 marks, half a mark each. Okay, a very easy thing. Then part 4, distinguish between nominal exchange rate and effective exchange rate. Is what is the difference between a nominal exchange rate and effective exchange rate, guys? A nominal exchange rate is quoted against one country, right? So let's say the Sri Lankan rupee against the US dollar, right? 1 LKR equals, let's say, sorry, 1 USD equals, let's say 200 LKR. So quoted against one country's currency, that is the nominal exchange rate. But what is the effective exchange rate? Effective exchange rate, are you sure the effective exchange rate is the one adjusted for inflation? No, right? The one adjusted inflation is the real exchange rate. Now, they are not asking you nominal and real, they're asking you nominal and effective. Remember, real exchange rate and effective exchange rate does not mean the same thing. Exactly. The effective exchange, I'll just copy and paste whatever answer that you'll have. Perfect. It is there on the chat box. Hold on. Right? Look at this, right? So if what is the effective exchange rate? It's for a group of countries, right? You're getting like an average. See, effective exchange rate shows the value of the currency against weighted average value of a currency basket. Now I'll explain the simple story, right? Now let's say, right, 1 US dollar is equal to close to around 200 LKR, right? 200 LKR. There is one what Pound, Great Britain pound is equal to how much? Around 260 guys. If you all want, you can Google, let me know. If I'm not mistaken, close to around 260. I don't know if it depreciated even more. Then one, let's say €1. I'm not very sure of this. This is also close to somewhere around 200, if I'm not mistaken. Let's say 230. I don't know. Just maybe you can give me the exact numbers. Then let's say one Indian rupee, right? One Indian rupee is close to around, I think, 3 LKR. Let's say what else? One Japanese yen. This I have a little bit no idea of. Yes, can someone tell me how much is Japanese yen? And maybe let's say one Chinese yuan. In LKR, yen is 1.79. Okay. This one, the Chinese one. 31.68. Okay. So okay, forget about the numbers. Okay, it's not about the numbers. I'm trying to show you what is this effective exchange rate, right? Now all of these, right? $1 equals this much, £1 equals this much, €1 equals this much. All of these guys are what? All of these are nominal exchange rates. But on average, right? Now, if you're trying to find what is the average exchange rate of Sri Lanka, so what you do, guys, it's not simply adding all of this and dividing by 6. It's not as easy as this, right? So you get the weighted average. That means weighted based on how much of trade that we do. Let's say we do most of the trade with USA, then we give a higher weightage to USA. Let's say the pound is the next, then we give the next weightage to that. So based on that, guys, we calculate something called a weighted average. So let's say we calculate a weighted average, and let's say the weighted average says 1 LKR equals, right? Let's say, let's say you can't say 1 LKR. Sorry, let's say it simply says 150. Hold on, you calculate that, you get 150 LKR as a weighted average. So one foreign currency is equal to like 150 on average. That is what you call, guys, an effective exchange rate. Guys, then there are baskets. How many country baskets do we have for an effective exchange rate calculation? There are two that Sri Lanka uses. A basket of 5 countries and a basket of how many countries? We have a basket of 5, and we also have a basket of 24 countries, right? So when we're calculating the effective exchange rate, there are 2 effective exchange rates that we calculate for a basket of 5 countries and for a basket of 24 countries. Guys, those details are also given in the central bank report. You can go and see what are the countries, what is the number, right? That is why I want you all to please make sure that you go through the central bank report text, right? Make a short note out of it. Okay, so that is that. So you can put your own words and you can explain the story, guys, right? So I'm not going to go into detail. Okay, and then this one, the last question: what are the arguments for free trade? Guys, now remember, okay, free trade and protectionism are the opposite of each other, right? Free trade means where you're trading without any barriers, no import restrictions, no quotas, no, anything. There is no nothing, right? Protectionism is the opposite. You put import tariffs, you put quotas, you put, all of that. So when you say arguments, right, if you're smart enough, right, arguments for free trade, right, that means in favor of, you can turn the points of arguments against, right, against protectionism. Right, now look at this. What are the arguments against protectionism? One, you can say, okay, tell me the arguments against protectionism. What are the bad sides of protectionism? One, the domestic prices increase, right? Because of protectionism, you put tariffs and you put all of that, the price levels in the domestic country increases. Do you agree with me there? Yes. Arguments against protectionism. Domestic prices tend to increase. Why? Because they put a tax on the imported good also. Local fellow also increases his price. Customer pays a higher price at the end. Right? Now, this same thing you can convert. Now, you can say because of free trade, right? The domestic prices are much lower. Yes, arguments for free trade means the advantages. Guys. This means the advantage. So the advantages of free trade are the disadvantages of protectionism. So one disadvantage of protectionism is the prices increase, right? So you can say because of free trade, the prices don't increase. The prices consumers pay decrease. You can change that one. Then another one you can say because of protectionism, guys. Yes, you can say the trade flows decrease, right? Imports and exports are reduced, right, to some extent because you put quotas, you put import tariffs, right? Trade is reduced. So then what is the other side of it? The argument for free trade, because of free trade, the levels of trade between the countries is increased. So because of protectionism, you can say national income decreases, right? Here you can say national income increases, right? Now, so you can change your points. Do you all get that? Yes or no? At least can you all give me the answers that you all put in for the arguments for free trade? What else did you all put, guys? Why should you have free trade? That means trade between countries without any barriers. You can talk about increasing what? The understanding between countries, mutual understanding. Yes, you can say it helps with specialization, right? This because of free trade, you can say this, right? Uh, you can say the quality of the goods increase, right? Not decreases, right? You can say the quality of the goods increase. Now you can say competition, right? The levels of competition increases, right? So competition increases as a result. What happens? The quality of the goods increase. Okay. Then you can say there will be a flow of technology. Yes. Remember when they say arguments for, right? Now remember arguments you might seem like disadvantages. No, right? They ask you what are the points? Arguments means points, right? For free trade. That means in favor of. So you're writing advantages of free trade. Okay. So always keep that in mind. Yes, upliftment of living standard. Yes, you can say avoid monopolies in certain nations because the competition is increasing. Okay. So things like that, guys, you all can write. Are we okay there? Yes. Yes, can consume products which are not locally available. That's fine, but then that is a little bit too general also, right? That is connected to international trade also, no? Right? That's like a advantage of international trade. So yes, you can write that, but there are better points. Okay. Yes, increase in the volume of world trade. So all of those things, guys, you all can give. Right. So that is the 2018 paper. It's the easy paper, right? I don't think there is any hard thing unless you confuse this part here. What? The PPC and maybe question number 4 would have been a little bit tricky, but not tricky. It's also directly theory. I think all of the others are very easy question. That's 2018, right? So this is 2018. So we look at 2019 and 2020. Let me copy and paste the 2019 question. 2019. Okay. So this is where the new syllabus started, right? In 2019. But the questions you get did not change. Okay. Right. Hold on. Okay, the 2019 paper. This is the 2019 A level paper. Okay. So in the 2019 A-level paper, they're asking you name 4 items each for exports, for main items each for exports and imports of Sri Lanka. Guys, can you all give me what are our 4 main exports? I think we went through this, right? In an MCQ or something, I went through the central bank report and I showed you. What are the 4 main exports and the 4 main imports, guys, in Sri Lanka? Tea, garments, exports mainly garments. Okay, we have tea then. Right? Garments in sense textiles. Okay, so okay, I'll use the same word. Use the word textiles. Textiles, tea. Okay, rubber. Yes, they're not asking you for the categorization. They're asking you for the items, guys. That means the products here. So don't write agriculture, industry, mineral. That's the classification. Okay. So under that, you have tried specifically what? That is what they asked. What else, guys? What are our exports? So you have rubber products. Okay. What else? What can you give us the 4th one? These are the top 3. They're asking you for 4. Okay. Yes, you can even talk about yes. Yes. Tourism, fine. Okay, so you can give things like this, right? There is petroleum something, right? If I'm not mistaken, petroleum products or something, right? There is something that we export. Okay, so things like that you all can give. Okay, yes, maybe spices. Okay, fine. Yeah. So remember, guys, you all need to write the main ones. Huh? Okay, so then if you look at our imports, what are our main imports, guys? Is export. Okay, all right. Okay, I have complete answer. I'll just copy and paste it. Nice. Fuel, textiles, building materials, vehicles, machinery. Right. So these are our imports. So I just copied and pasted one of your answer. Looks right. Okay. So yes, you can have food and beverages also inside this, right? All of this. So textiles in sense the cloth, the thread, right? Those things. Building materials, vehicles, machinery equipment, right? Yes, you can put food and beverages. Okay, fine. Fertilizer. So those are our main imports. So guys, please make sure that you at least know 4 to 5, right? Go to the central bank report, find what are the main ones in the year 2020. This is 2019, right? So 2019 ones, these are the probably ones. Sorry, 2019 they would have expected in the answer scheme for 2017 main imports. So when you're writing in 2021, now you already have the 2020 central bank report. So in the 2020 central bank report, go and see what are the main exports, what are the main imports. Right? I think in my theory or revision tute also, I would have directly given, or in my fast track tute. Okay, right. Then they're asking you for the second one, guys. This is again a place where a lot of students got confused on competitive advantage, right? Competitive advantage and comparative advantage are not the same. A lot of people, right, they went and wrote about comparative advantage. Yes, competitive advantage is different. It's not comparative advantage. This is totally different. I'll just share my maybe note directly, then I'll explain the story. Yes, low prices, high quality. Where is my cue? Competitive and absolute, no, not the same. Okay, hold on. I should have it somewhere in my queue. Okay, here. A competitive advantage, right? So look at this. Okay, so gains of competition or gains this whole thing, right? Competitive advantage. What is competitive advantage? Is competitive advantage can be, right, where one firm, right, one firm is providing more value to a customer than its competitors, right? Now, for example, let's say you all are coming to my class, right? Let's say you all are coming for my econ class, right? So you're believing that I am providing more value. Now, how can I provide more value? One is, right, compared to, let's say, the other teachers, I am charging, let's say, lesser price. I'm also teaching the exact same thing what every other teacher. Tute is the same, teaching style is the same, everything is same, but I am charging a lesser price. So maybe because of that, I am providing more value. or else, right, for the same price, I am providing a much more quality service. Let's say everyone is charging 2,000 a month, but my one is maybe more quality. Let's say my tube is, let's say, colored, there's a colored tube. Explanations, I maybe explain the same thing twice or thrice, right? Let's say I have 3 or 4 classes a week, right? So maybe a more quality service. So that gives you what? A competitive, that is what you call gains of competition or competitive advantage, where one firm can supply a good, right, providing more value. How can you provide more value? Either you have to provide it at a lower price, the same quality good, or else at the same price, you have to provide a higher quality. So what are the sources, right? How can one firm get a competitive advantage? You have cost sources and differentiation sources. Okay. So things like this. So you have high levels of productivity, high production capacity, use of bargaining power. So maybe because of reasons like this, one firm can produce at a lower cost than the other firm. Maybe, okay, now for example, let's say why am I charging a lesser, let's say, class fees? Because maybe my productivity level is high. Maybe I have a high capacity. I'm utilizing my capacity to the maximum level, right? So things like that. Then differentiation sources, mainly for quality, right? So maybe superior quality products, maybe branding, right? Now, for example, if you consider products like Apple, right? Now they don't have a cost advantage, right? Their cost is actually high, but how are they providing more value to their customer? How is Apple providing more value to their customer? With, yes, they are giving a quality product, and also there is branding, right? Very strong brand, Apple, right? Then innovation, then intellectual property. So those are different. So these are the sources that you all can write, guys. If they were revising the error questions again, Nation 2020 must be the familiar events in this year also. Yes, guys. This year, when I say, right, I'll just tell you right now, what are the events that you should be familiar with this year? Now, usually, guys, they set your paper around 3-4 months before your A levels. So I don't think this budget that came out, let's say 2-3 weeks ago, will be tested in your paper. So that is not going to come. But for sure, on our now, what happened before, right? Maybe start of the year, if there was an election, but they say there was no, that if there was an election, that could have come. Special cases, guys, on COVID-19. This year, what has the government done? Fiscal policy measures, monetary policy measures, right? What has happened to international trade? Okay, so I'll just, okay, this thing, gains of company and this whole story. I want to zoom out. Okay, this is that whole story of gains of company. So I think it should be there in one of your tudes also, guys. Go through and see whatever tube that you're studying all should be there. If you want to, maybe Google a little bit more and try and find out. Okay, so have a thing. Import bans and stuff can be tested, because why? Those imports of vehicles and all were banned because our foreign reserves were falling, right? I'm hoping you were there last class and I explained that story. I did not go into very depth, but that foreign reserve story, please go through, right, and be tested. Okay, done. So that is competitive advantage and the sources. You can write. Then you have this, guys, a summary of the transactions given. So this is now like a common question that they have, right? Now here they have given the exact net value, right? Otherwise, sometimes, remember I told you, they give you credit and debit. How do you get the balance? It's always credit minus the debit. Okay. So how do you get the balance of trade, guys? To get the balance of trade, you can take your value of exports, right? So okay, I'll highlight. Okay, so you can take your export of goods minus your import of goods. Is there any no non-monetary gold? So it's simply then your balance of trade will be 1,500 minus 1,300, right? So you get a balance of trade of 200 plus. Then how do you get your balance of current account? So for that thing, balance of trade, you need to consider your export and import of services, right? Investment income and investment payments, in simple terms, guys, this is what this you can consider as primary income, right? So investment income may be dividends, right? Maybe profits. So again, receipts minus the payments. Net current transfer, these are secondary transfers. You can consider that as well, right? So they have given the net value. Is there anything else? Government capital, private capital, no. If non-monetary gold is given, guys, that will come for the trade account. So always remember credit minus debit. Okay. So this same thing, guys, right? Now, okay, this exports and imports, they can give you trade, and they can simply give you this way, right? This thing, right? This is credit, this is debit, right? Instead of giving you 1,500, 1,300 like this, they can say 1,500, 1,300. So you have to know, guys, the 1,500 credit fund is the export value. So always exports minus your imports. Guys, can you tell me how much is the balance of the current account, guys? Can you consider all of this? 1,500 minus 300, 500 plus 500 minus 400 plus 800 minus 600 plus 100. So here you have a 200 goods trade account, service account you have 100, primary income you have a 200, this you have 100. So you add all this, you get current account 600. Then financial account. So financial account has what? Net direct investments, right? That is foreign direct investments, portfolio investments, other net investments, reserve assets, right? You can take this. Guys, can you all check in the answer if they have taken errors and omissions? If I'm not mistaken, you don't have to take errors and omissions. That will come to the overall balance. Errors and omissions not taken, right? Is it, have they taken in the answer? You can take also, but I'm guessing they would have not taken. Can someone check if you all have the answer, guys? 2019. Is it just this four, or have they taken errors and omissions also? Just this four, right? Or have they taken? If I'm not mistaken, you only take these four. Can someone check 2019? No, don't have the paper. You want me to check? They haven't taken, no? Right, yeah. So then that's correct. Okay, so you don't take that, guys. Maybe if they ask you for the overall balance, then you take the primary account, sorry, current account balance, capital account balance, and then financial account balance, and at the error and also. So how do you get your financial account balance, guys? 350 plus 150 plus 120 plus 100. Now these capital transfers and private capital transfers, right? These guys will come in your capital account. Okay, capital transfers and things like what? Patents and intellectual property, these are all capital account. Now they have not asked you for capital account. So how much is the total of the financial account, guys? If you add all this, 350, 150, 500, 500 plus 280 is 780. Yes, I would have done this question in class. Then net exports. What is our net exports, guys? It's our exports and imports of goods and services. It's this, right? So 200 plus 100 net exports is 300. Done. Okay. The last question of the 2019 paper. The reasons for the sharp depreciation of the Sri Lankan rupee relative to the American dollar in the latter part of 2018. See, now this in the 2019 paper, right? See, they're asking you reasons for in 2018. Yes, guys, trade means only goods. Trade balance of trade means only the goods account. Okay, tangible goods and services. Trade. Okay. Okay, which one? Okay, this one. Reasons for the depreciation of Sri Lankan rupee. Now, these kind of questions is what I'm telling you, you can get this time also, right? So, what are the reasons, guys? Why do you think the Sri Lankan rupee depreciated? Right? Yes, increase in foreign outflows and decrease in inflows. Why? Okay, so yes, you maybe one reason. Yes, maybe the inflation rates was high. Yes. Now, when you say yes, decline in export earnings, but you need to be specific. Why did it decline? Right? Which decline? Now, simply a depreciation, guys, is because your monetary outflow increased and your inflow decreased. So maybe now you can say, maybe, I don't know, maybe Sri Lanka repaid loans during that period, right? So if you have repaid your loans, then there is a huge monetary outflow that goes, right? Maybe let's say, yes, our imports were high, but what imports were high? Yes, maybe okay, 2019 there would have been political economic instability. I'm not very sure what 2018 towards the end what happened. I can't remember, but yeah, okay. Let's just see what the answer says. Give me a second. They would have been very specific, right? With what would have happened in 2019. Okay, this is the original marking scheme. 2019 question 8. Okay, here. So they have given you internal factors and external factors, right? See, slow growth of export earnings, rapid increase in import expenditure. So things like vehicles and stuff, right? We have imported a lot. Then, okay, that's the Sri Lanka two prime ministers. Okay, right. Then here, sharp increase in the foreign debt service. Remember, I told you maybe we would have repaid a lot of debts. That would have been a factor. Then unfavorable political developments, especially during the last 3 months of the year. This may be the time then they were fighting over two prime ministers. I can't remember the period though exactly, right? Then lack of dollar conversions by exporters, negative sentiment created by the delayed. I am not very sure what this is. This may be some act, right? Inadequate official reserves. Then if you look at external factors, they're saying, now remember guys, okay, now your exchange rate, Sri Lanka's exchange rate against the US dollar, right, is not simply because of Sri Lanka's problem, right? Now depreciation, maybe USA was performing better, right? Maybe USA was performing better. As a result, USA's currency appreciated against our currency. So it doesn't always have to be bad of our one. So yes, internally these were our problems, but maybe USA also had some urgency for four consecutive interest rate hikes. Now see, interest rates in USA have increased, guys. If interest rates in the USA increase, what happens? Yes, remember that story I told you? What happens to investments in a country if interest rates increase? So if USA's interest rates increase, where will people go and invest their money? Will they invest their money in USA or will they invest their money somewhere else? USA is giving a higher interest rate. They will invest in USA, right? So that's the reason, right? So in USA these days, the interest rate has increased. So interest rate increase means money will come into USA, right? People would invest in USA. So there is a demand for the US dollar. US dollar appreciates. Sri Lankan rupee depreciates. Even without us doing anything, our currency is getting depreciated because they have increased their interest rates. Then maybe yes, oil market prices, and then maybe outflow of capital, different things from different other countries. So you all can give in. That is a little bit of a technical question. Things here. See, they have given here by how many percent it has depreciated, right? So see how they're giving you marks, guys, right? They're giving you 1 mark for giving a small explanation about what happened, right? See what happened, all of this, there's all of these are direct, trust me, guys. These are direct copy and paste from the central bank reports, okay? So your original marking scheme here, right? These are direct copy and paste, either from somewhere in Google, some source, or from a central bank report. That is why I keep on telling, please go through central bank reports. Okay. Then internal and external factors. So those are things that you can give for the 2019 thing. Done. And then let's get into the last paper because I'm hoping none of you all did the 2019 old one, and I don't think there's any new questions in that. Would have been the same questions repeated in a different way. I guess I'm going to skip that 2019 old syllabus paper in case if you all have done, right? I'm hoping you all have the answer also, which you all can go through. Your guys, yes, now you all ideally, right? For your 2020, your 2021 batch, no, right? Ideally, you all have to go through the 2019 central bank report, right? But now since you're doing A levels a little late, and even that the 2020, now usually what happens is like this, right? When you're doing A levels in August, right? The 2020 central bank report comes in 2021, somewhere around April, May. So then you don't have only 2 or 3 months, guys, you all have to study. So they don't test you from the 2020 central bank report, they test you from the 2019. But now you all are doing it very late, no guys. So now, right, go through the 2019, go through the 2020 also, because 2020 has later stuff, right, about what happened with COVID-19 and everything is there in that. So please make sure you go through the 2020 also, not just the 2019. Okay. What is this question coming all of a sudden from here? Okay, so I'll just, okay, my board is a mess, but never mind. Okay, so we'll do the 2020. I'll put it over here. Okay, give me a second until I copy and paste, and then we are done with this. The 2020, I don't think was that hard. It was an easy paper. The unit number 9. Okay. One part was a little hard. Okay, it's an easy situation. Hold on. Okay, this is the 2020. Okay, so one part was a little tricky. That is the third part. Apart from that, everything else was very, very easy. Right? Distinguish between comparative and competitive. Can you see? It was there in 2019 also, it was there in 2020 also. The main reason is because in 2019, almost everyone got it wrong, right? In 2019, all of a sudden they gave this story of competitive advantage, right? Now see, the previous paper had this, right? See, competitive advantage 2019. Again in 2020, also they repeated the same thing. See, because why? A lot of people confuse comparative with competitive. So distinguish between comparative and competitive, they gave you a 4-mark question. So for competitive advantage, you write about where your firm is giving more value and all. For comparative advantage, you say where one country can produce at a lower opportunity cost. So that story has to be clearly mentioned because people thought these two were the same. That is why they gave this question back in 2020. Okay. And then the second one, major obstacles Sri Lanka encounters to achieve rapid growth in export earnings. The same thing that we would have discussed before, right? I'll just go through the answer. Lack of diversification to different things. So high labor intensive, our prices are maybe comparatively high. So I'll just go through here. Okay, so answer not that clear, guys. Here, limited diversification of export products, right? Lack of diversification export market, lack of investment in export-oriented industries. Then you have Sri Lanka's exports are biased towards low complexity products, so implying low know-how. So we are not exporting any technological complex products, guys. Very simple products, right? Tea, garments. Not that you need very technological know-how for those, right? So then major export industries being squeezed with wage growth outspacing productivity gains, then high cost and productivity in the low productivity in the tea export sector. So likewise, different reasons, right? So that is a common question on what has happened to our exports. So please make sure, guys, you all know that you all have a set answer to write. Please go prepared on what has happened to our exports and imports during the years. Okay, that's also easy, something that you all already know. Now this question here was a little bit of a new one, but this would have been in your tudes also. What is meant by official reserve assets and what are its components? So I'll directly share the this itself. See, official reserve assets are the financial assets that can be used as international means of payments. So official reserve assets comprise of, you have monetary gold, foreign exchanges, special drawing rights, reserve positions of the IMF, marketable securities, and foreign currency loans. This should be there in your this thing. So you have now see what has happened, guys, right? In 2020, in the 2021 paper, in your year, right? They can ask you, right? They now here in the last year paper, they ask you what are the official reserve assets, right? Now in this year, they can ask you, right, what has happened to these official reserves? It has decreased, right? Maybe they can ask you what are the reasons. Reasons are because of COVID-19 and all of it, right? Our monetary inflow is very less, our outflow is very high, right? And then what measures have they taken to restore this official reserve assets? So they can, the same question, they can build it and they can ask you a much more advanced question this year. I am not sure if they will, but there is a probability. So please make sure that you have some idea, right? Maybe it might not come, I don't know. But if it comes, trust me, most of them will not be able to answer. You answering means your mark is going to be higher, your Z score is going to be much higher than most of them if you're looking at a local university. So those are the official reserve assets, right? So of a country. And the final question is an easy one. That is simply, is it possible to have a comparative advantage production of a good without having an absolute advantage? Explain your answer with a numerical example. So all what you do is put some numbers and explain your story, right? So let's say country A, country B, right? Country A and country B. Let's talk about two goods, X and Y, and give numbers. Just give me 1 second. Okay, sorry, I got a call. Okay, so for this one, right? Is it possible to have comparative advantage without absolute advantage? Yes, right. So you can talk about two countries. So you can show that one country, let's say country A, has the absolute advantage of both the goods. So put some numbers and explain, guys. So say, okay, country A can produce, let's say, 100 units of good X, and 200 units of good Y. But country B, let's say only 50 and 50. So if you look at absolute advantage, country A has the absolute advantage for both the goods, X and Y, right? But however, if you look at comparative advantage, so when you calculate opportunity cost, guys, you will get opportunity cost lower for two different countries, right? So likewise, guys, you need to put any number, right? You don't have to do anything because they are saying explain with a numerical example. So put some numbers, show that, okay, look here, this country is the one that has the absolute advantage for both the goods. But however, when it comes to comparative advantage, this country has for this country has for that. Yes, guys, even if you can use input data numbers also, no problem at all. As long as you can prove that absolute advantage is not necessary to have comparative advantage. So as long as you can prove that, you're completely fine. Shape. Are we okay? Yeah, so that is basically it with this unit. Fine. Yes, 11th chapter I'll be doing the MCQs though. I'm not going to do the things. No, guys, I have not uploaded the YouTube recordings of unit 8 and unit 9 and 10. 9 and 10 is what we just finished. I'll find some time probably. I think this week I think I'm getting a little bit free in the sense not very free, comparatively free. I'll do something. I have a few 20 unit 2 tudes to sort and make and dispatch and sort those. I'll look into those as well. So this is basically it with unit number 9 and 10. This is the 2020 A level question. I'm hoping it's not that hard, right? I all okay, manageable from the MCQs to the essay questions, right? So yes, remember, okay, now you don't have to be focusing on the 20 out of 20, right? So like I said, if you want a A, you need 75. So as long as you are good with your part A's, now sometimes, guys, Even if I go and write, I might not earn the 20 out of 20. There will be some parts that I'm not very 100% sure of, right? So at least have a target of getting 15 marks out of this, right? So from your two part B questions, if it's hard, at least look at 15 marks. So even 15 marks means even one part, if you don't know, it's fine. So in this one, maybe this third one is the one that you don't know. Others, you know, no guys, comparative, competitive, obstacles for exports, and this one you all know. So maybe for this one, right, maybe you get only 1 or 2 marks, let's say. You don't know much, right? So let's say you get 15 marks each for the 2 questions from part A and sorry, for the 2 questions you write from part B. So then from the questions that you write from part A, right, the questions that you are, you know, familiar with, unit number 1, 2, 3, 4, right, those you are really good. So at least focus on getting 18 marks there, 18 marks per question. So 18 into 3, you get, you know how much? You get 54 marks for the 3 questions in part A. You get around 30 marks for the 2 questions in part B. That is what you're planning to write, right? You still have 84 marks there, right? So don't just give up on the question, right? Don't give up on the question just because you don't know one part, right? Don't give up studying unit number 9 and 10 because one part you don't know. Trust me, guys, if you can score the 15, that's good, right? That's more than enough. You can still hit a 84 for your part 2, right? And if you can get a somewhere around close to 40 to 42 MCQs correct in your paper 1, that's again an 84, guys. An 84 out of 100 is a really good mark, right? I know I pushed you all to the fast track people, we work on getting a 90-95, but still anything more than 75 is a really good mark, guys. You have an A for your subject. So don't get demotivated just because you don't know one small part. And trust me, you all have almost 2 months, right? You have December, you have January. So even if you have not completely studied this unit, you still have the time to study this unit, right? I recently there were people who have purchased my recording these days, right? So that means now only they are starting to study, right? So I think last week or something, I didn't even promote or I didn't even say anything, but there were around 4-5 people who purchased my revision class recording. So meaning they are starting to study now, but still that's okay because they still have 2 months, right? So whatever note, whatever thing that you all also have, right, you all still have time, guys. Even same thing for the other subjects also. If there is a unit that you completely neglected or completely let go, don't worry, you still have time. That's about you making your plan and you getting things done, right? So that is that. Part A, I would recommend at least to go for a 40, paper 1, 40 out of the 50 MCQs. Guys, so if you have questions, you all can stay and clarify. If not, thank you for coming. We're done with unit number 9 and 10. We'll probably meet in the next class with unit number 11 and 12. I am planning only to do the MCQs because I'm pretty sure none of you all are writing the essay questions. And the essay questions for the question number 9 is also very easy though. But I'll not be discussing. Question number 10 obviously is a little hard to predict and tell you what will happen because that is like almost general knowledge. But question number 9, if anyone is planning, yes, go ahead. That's all right. For economic growth and stuff, you all can go through the past paper. Same question will come most of the time. Okay, so that's it from me. I'll see you all probably next week with unit number 11 and 12. See you. Bye bye.